Hey, what's up, Howard? Bringing you a video today about some yoga movement basics of, alignment and safety. It's going to be based on the postures of the sun salutation that we worked on in the park that day. And I think you'll be able to take these instructions and these alignment cues and kind of bring them into your movement generally. So what I'm going to ask for you to have on hand is just a towel. We're going to roll it up and use it for a few different postures. So first, let's come to a seated position. And we're going to take a second to find some relaxation. Okay, and this is a very important part, the beginning of our yoga sequence. Often when we do this at home, we just jump right in. We start stretching, doing strong movements, but we relax and we breathe first for two reasons. One, it helps kind of demarcate the day. Here we are at our mat. We're not doing what we did before. We're here right now, we're working on our yoga. The second reason is that engagement of the parasympathetic nervous system through deliberate relaxation and breathing techniques is going to send a message to our muscles that they can relax. They don't need to unconsciously tighten and become rigid to protect themselves from overstretching. So this will also help us with our mobility. Okay? So the classic seated posture, the beginning of a sequence, is just cross-legged. It's called easy pose, Sukhasana. And we might kind of take the flesh out from our buttocks so that our sit bones are right on the ground. Engage the abdominal, bring the belly button in and up. Open the chest, shoulders up and back and down. And maybe just lightly lay the hands on the knees. Bring the crown of our head up toward the ceiling and find a long, straight spine. Now this posture is not always comfortable or easy to find, especially at first. So we bring in the towel. I'm going to sit up on this towel, bring it behind me, and sit my sit bones right up on that. I'm kind of going to use it to just tilt my pelvis forward. I'm still on the ground. I'm not sitting up on this towel, but I'm letting it kind of pull the flesh out from my buttocks and letting it tilt my pelvis forward. So here I am, a very nice, easy, straight spine, neutral position, and I can hold this for a long time and relax. So we'll find that nice, comfortable position. Belly button in and up, shoulders up, back, and down, crown of the head to the ceiling, find a long, straight spine. And we'll take a few moments to breathe. Exhale. Open the eyes. Take the towel out from under you. Let's come to all fours. We're going to start by warming up the wrists. This is an often overlooked piece of the beginning of a class. We end up putting a lot of weight on our wrists, and beginning students find a lot of pain in that. If we take time to warm them up, we'll bring some heat, and we'll help protect them from injury. So, when we put our hands down to the ground, we have a tendency to dump the weight into our wrists. And we can prevent that by engaging the full flat of our palm, and then putting pressure into all 5 of our fingertips. So feel the difference between that. Engage the palm, engage the fingertips, and then disengage all of that. Now engage it again. And feel how that distributes the weight more evenly, takes it out of the wrists. So rotate your wrists in 90 degrees, and then back out 90 degrees, out to the edges of our mat, and then back toward our knees. Just take a couple of rounds of that. Just a nice way to warm up those wrists before we start putting any weight in them in our sequence. One more engage the fingertips, flats of the palms. Edges of the mat, back toward the knees, and back to our neutral position. So, palms flat, fingertips engaged. Inhale, draw the heart forward through the shoulders. Exhale, round the back up toward the ceiling. Inhale, heart forward through the shoulders. Exhale, round the back up. One more round. Inhale. Exhale. Take any sort of free movement you like. It's just a good idea to put the spine through different ranges of motion before we put any real load on it. Okay. Come to a standing position. Raise your arms up to the sides above your head. Take the left wrist and the right hand. And then, keeping a neutral pelvis, let's just bend to our right. Inhale back to center. Switch. Right wrist and left hand. Bend to the left. Inhale center. Switch. Exhale to the right. Inhale center. Switch. Exhale left. Inhale center. Hands back down. And we'll take a couple of neck rolls. Now this is not 5th grade gym class where we're doing these big rolls, taking the full range of motion of the neck. It's not a safe range of motion for us, okay? What I want you to do is take your hands out in front of you, clasp your fingers together, and bring that behind your neck, okay? Wrap your hands around the back of your neck. Now, lean your head back as far as your hands will allow. Do you feel how far that is? That's as far as I want you to bring your neck back in a yoga class, okay? I don't want you doing one of these. It's dangerous for the cervical spine to keep putting load on it like that because the head's quite heavy. So we take our hands behind our neck. We feel how far back we can lean our head with that. And that's going to be the cap on our range of motion. That's going to keep our neck safe. Likewise, we're not going to be leaning all the way forward. We're going to take more moderate movements of the neck. So with that in mind, let's take some neck rolls. Tracing nice small circles with the tip of the nose. Switch sides. And there we are. So in our sun salutation, our first movement is to bring our hands up above our head, okay? So I want you to feel the difference between bringing them up to the sides into a Y and bringing them forward in front of you all the way up. You feel how when we do this right in front of us, when we get about here, there starts to be some resistance in the shoulders. It feels a bit impinged, okay? It's because that's not the natural range of motion of our shoulders, okay? We bring them up into the sides, kind of rotating them up, our arms up as we go, and we find a nice Y orientation. That feels nice and natural, there's not an impingement. Over and over in our yoga practice, we're going to be bringing our arms up above our heads. If you have the space, and we don't always have the space because a class can be crowded, but if you have the space, bring them up to the sides, and then leave them in a Y. Don't even bring them up collapsed like this, but leave them in this nice Y. Likewise, when we bring them down, we bring them down to the sides. That's going to give us a more healthy range of motion. So bring your arms up above your head to the sides in a Y. And back down. This is our nice neutral standing position, Tadasana, mountain pose. And it's pretty simple, but let's talk about pelvic orientation. Now, the two extremes are to really stick your butt out like this, or to really draw your pelvis forward like this. Neither of these is correct. Neither of these is a neutral pelvis, okay? So I want you to find the extremes, sticking out like this, and then forward like this, and then find something in the middle that's that nice neutral orientation. When we're standing, we want to find a neutral pelvis at all times. So, mountain pose, hands 2 fist distance apart, or feet 2 fist distance apart, hip width, neutral pelvis. As with our sitting position, we're going to bring the shoulders up, back, and down, belly button in and up. Draw the crown of the head toward the ceiling, and let your palms face forward. Now, lean forward and back on your feet. Obviously, we're standing on 2 feet here, not too hard to balance. But we can find an even more stable platform with our feet if we consider them as 3 points of contact each. Okay? The big toe side, pinky toe side, and our heel. Just close your eyes, stand there, and think about standing on 3 points of contact on each foot. And really engage at all 3 points. What's going to give us more strength as well is to engage the arches of our feet. And an easy way to do this is, as we're standing on those 3 points, lift up your toes, find the 3 points, and drop your toes back down. And maintain that engagement of the arches. So whether we're standing on 2 feet or in a balanced pose on just 1, we can always find these 3 points of contact. We can always engage the arches, and that's going to give us a more healthy, stable footing on our mat. Okay? So bring the arms up to the sides in a Y. Now we're going to practice our forward fold. In yoga, we're always looking to maintain a long, straight spine. And so when we fold forward, we're going to do so from the hips. Okay? From the hips. We fold forward.
Now look at the difference between when I straighten my legs out and I really reach to try to touch the mat. Do you see how much my back is curved? How much flexion my spine is in? That's not healthy for it. The weight of the head is drawing down on the spine and it's bearing that load. So how do I correct for this? Well, I'll come back up.
And this time, when I fold forward, I'm going to bend at the knees as much as I need
To keep a nice straight spine in my forward fold. Keeping the knees straight is just not a priority. The important part is that my spine is safe. So in our forward fold, I take as much of a bend in my knees as I need to keep a long, straight spine. And maybe I touch my fingers to the ground, maybe my palms. Maybe I have some blocks here or some books that I have in front of me that I can rest my hands on. Maybe I just take them to my shins. Okay? But whatever you do, look for that long, straight spine. So from this position, we're going to come into what's called our halfway lift. So I inhale, I lengthen my spine out.
And maybe at this point I don't need the bend in my knees because my back is up higher. My back is straight and I take my hands to my shins, to my thighs. And I'm not coming all the way up. This is just my halfway lift. Now I exhale, back down to the mat.
I take my palms to the ground.
And now I'm going to step back into a high push-up.
Now, look for that palm and fingertip engagement on the mat. And this is called plank pose. Now from here, I'm going to draw my shoulders past the fingertips and keeping my elbows nice and tight with the body, I'm going to bring my body all the way down to 90 degrees at my elbows. And this can be a lot to maintain. So you can take your knees to the ground, or we might just come all the way down.
Take your hands to about the line of your nipples.
Press the pinky toe sides of your feet into the mat.
And now, not so much pushing with your hands, but with the force of your own back and abdominals, peel your torso up off the ground as you rotate your shoulders up and back. This is called Cobra Pose. exhale back down. And try that again. Barely pushing with your hands, with the force of your own torso, peel the torso up off the mat, shoulders up and back, pinky toe sides of the feet, pressing down into the mat. And exhale back down. If you want to take a more active version of that, we can do what's called up dog. So, I'm going to press my hands into the ground at nipple level, and on my exhale, or on my inhale rather, I'm going to push up off the mat. Now, the important thing here is that I engage my abdominals and draw my chest through the shoulders, engage my thighs, press the pinky toe sides of my feet into the mat, engage my glutes. All this is going to help protect my low back here. If this is a lot to maintain, I can bring my knees down. But something I never do in up dog is bring my thighs down to the ground, because do you see that pinch it puts on my low back? We're never going to do that. So knees is fine, or you can take the knees up, press your palms into the mat, fingertips pressing down, and I look up. Now mind you, not drawing my neck all the way back, but just a nice gaze forward. And on my exhale, I'm going to push up and back into my down dog. So in down dog, I'm looking for a few pieces of engagement. First off, remember with the forward fold, how if I straighten my knees, all of a sudden I have this big bend in my back that's not healthy for the spine. Well, the same applies to down dog. So similarly, I can take a nice healthy bend in my knees. And do you see how that allows me to keep a longer, straight spine? So hips up and back, long, straight spine. Press the palms into the mat, press the fingertips. And now, I want you to rotate your shoulders externally, bringing the elbows in toward one another. Okay? Elbows rotating in toward one another, and activate the triceps. This is going to help protect some of the tendons of our shoulders, as this is a posture that we come back to over and over in yoga. And eventually, this will start to feel like a resting pose. You can warm up your calves by pedaling out your feet here. I want you to bring your left foot up and back. And now step your left foot in between the hands. And bring your right knee down to the ground. We'll come up here. Okay? This is called Crescent Pose. So over and over in our yoga practice, we're going to be in this orientation where we have one foot forward and one back. This is a version where our knee's on the ground, but we also have a pose called High Crescent, where that knee comes up off the ground. Okay? So this is a very common orientation in our practice. And the way we're going to engage is we want to find nice, straight, square hips. The way we do that is by pressing into our front heel, in this case the left, and pressing down into our back foot or knee, the right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the left hip back as I bring the right hip forward. Almost a scissoring motion, okay? So, find that scissoring engagement, and that's going to help you square off the hips. The other extreme would be for me to be like this. Yeah? But no, I'm going to bring it in like so. Now I can bring my arms up to the sides over my head into a Y. Bring my belly button in and up. Maybe arch my back just a bit to find a nice gaze upward. Exhale, bring my hands back down on either sides of my left foot. My left foot back up and back. Down to the mat, and we'll repeat on the other side. So bring my right foot up and back. Sweep it forward in between the hands. Left knee down. I'll find my balance here. Now again, instead of being in one of these, I'm going to drive my right heel down into the ground and my left knee into the ground. I'm going to draw back with the right hip and forward with the left. That scissoring motion is going to help me find a greater strength and a greater stretch in my hip flexors and nice square hips pointing forward. So I bring my arms up to the sides over my head into a nice Y. Perhaps arch my back. Nice gaze upward. Exhale. Hands down on either sides of the foot. Draw my right foot up and back. Reconnecting to my down dog. Long straight back, knees bent. Triceps engaged, elbows looking in at one another. And on my exhale, I'm going to bring my right foot forward. And my left. And my forward fold, knees bent as much as you need. And inhale. I'm going to hinge at the hips and come all the way back up. Now I want to show you another pose called chair pose. So bring your feet 2 fist distance apart. And we're just going to lean back, looking to get our thighs as close to parallel with the ground as possible. An important alignment cue here, as you might be able to see, okay, is that my knees need to remain parallel. This is going to be a common orientation in our practice, and it's easy to let the knees kind of do this, or splay out one way or the other. Whenever we're in an orientation like this, always look for parallel knees. That's going to help protect them. It's easy to put different strains and twists on the knees that cause them damage over time. Parallel knees allow you to take advantage of all the strength of your legs while keeping them in a healthy orientation. So inhale, I'll come back up. Hands back down to my sides. Let's take a quick check here. Okay. One last bit that I want to talk about is how to twist. So let's come down to our mat. Come down to a nice seat here, okay? We're going to take just a very basic twist. I want you to bring the arms up over your head to the sides. And on your exhale, I want you to twist down to your right. Taking your left hand on the outside of your right knee and taking your right hand behind you. Now, so often in our daily life or in twists in yoga, we want to form a lever. We want to use external force to twist ourselves as hard as we can because that's better, right? Deeper twist is better. Not so much the case. With our twists, and this is going to be all manner of twists in yoga, it's better to arrive to where you can reach with your own body strength. Okay? So I'm going to bring my hands up above my head. Exhale, twisting to the right. And do you see how this is about as far as my body can make it on its own without any sort of external pressure? Okay? So I take my hand to the outside of the knee, hand behind me, and this is just to basically hold me in this position that I was already able to reach with the force of my own muscles. Okay? So I'm not pulling, not wrenching here. And on my inhales, I lengthen my spine. And on my exhales, I maybe twist just a bit deeper. Again, with the force of my own torso. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Inhale, back to a neutral position. And I'll take it on the other side. And bring my arms up above my head. Exhale. Twist to the left. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, deepen. Inhale back to a neutral position. Now, just as at the beginning of our yoga class, We took a few minutes to close our eyes, breathe, relax. We also end our class that way. And the most common way, most common position is called Shavasana, the corpse pose. Now, that's just laying flat out on the mat. There's a few different variations we can take to make that a more comfortable, relaxing experience. But first, I want to talk to you about the most ergonomically sound way to get down to your mat, okay? Because on the one hand, we could sit here like this, and we could go, and then we just let it go, right? Or we take a second, we roll onto our outer elbow, and we use that to help us bring us down gently to the mat. So here we are. Take your feet apart, separate your hands out. Try to find a position where none of your extremities is touching something. If there's, this towel here, move the towel so that we're not touching anything. There's no external stimulus. Okay? Now at this point, you take your pelvis and lift it up and kind of rotate it downward to traction the spine a bit. And we just let our body go. Feeling some discomfort in this position, there's a few different modifications we can take. So we'll take our towel. One modification is you can just prop your head up on it, like a pillow. And that feels nice. And maybe I can find a deeper relaxation this way. Let's say you've got some real tightness in your neck, and the natural curve isn't allowing itself to take place. So I could put the towel right there and accentuate the curve of my neck that way. Likewise, if that curve is not happening in my low back, I could take a towel and give my back some more low curve. If I want to take pressure off of my low back, another modification I can do is to put something beneath my knees. You'll often see people using bigger pillows called bolsters to do this. A towel is pretty minimal, but it can provide some relief. And we just close our eyes down and breathe freely. I like to try to just focus on bodily sensation here. This might be a time to really hone in on some specific part of your body, to trace your body with a red ball of energy, any other visualization practice that suits you. This is a good time to do that. Now, likewise, when we get back up, we're not going to ruin all of this tranquility by doing one of these. Nope. Instead, coming out of Shavasana, where we're often there for several minutes, we're going to roll over onto our side into a fetal position, using our arm as a pillow. You can roll onto your right or your left side. And then, keeping your eyes closed, push yourself back up to a seated position. You can sit right there on your mat, or you can sit up on your towel like before. Find a nice, easy pose, cross-legged seat. And bring hands to the center of the chest. Namaste. Well, anyhow, it's good to be with you, Howard. And if you have any questions, please do let me know. We'll be in touch. I love you, my friend. Goodbye.